of the struggle who are assembled here today, and all the activists that are here, all invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, twegatte, tulumbe, mwebale. It is fitting to say that God is good, and all the time. That's his nature. Give him a clap. Subject today, but I really don't think that the task at hand is to discuss that subject amongst ourselves. I think the big task is to send this discussion to the ears of every Ugandan, wherever they are, as my brother, the Lord Mayor, said, this is a very, very critical moment for our country. And every head that God, whom as I have said is great, gave the capacity to think, this is the time we are called upon to think and think deeply. Ndowooza nja kutabula ennimi zonna abantu ab'enjawulo basobole okutegeera kye tuliko leero. Nti omulimu gwe tuliko si kukubaganya birowoozo wano ku jeema, wabula kusindika obubaka eri buli ayina amatu yenna gy'ali. Obubaka obwo abulowoozeeko nnyo ate mangu, kubanga eggwanga ng'omuloodi bw'agambye liri mu masaŋŋanzira. We have to determine how we move now. We have to determine. Muloodi era bagambye kye twabagamba luli nga tutongoza omugendo guno gwa red card, nti eggwanga liri mu katyabaga, nti eggwanga liri mu kabi akatusaanyaawo, akasobola okutusaanyaawo. The failure to thrive crisis that our country, the people of our country, the greatest majority of Ugandans are failing to thrive. They cannot live and thrive. There is a failure to thrive crisis. Nobody can hide away from that. Ekizibu ekiri mu ggwanga ekinyigiriza buli omu nga tutongoza ekisinde kino, nabagamba nti kikyatokota butokosi, kikyatandika. Nakati wekituuse tekinaba. The crisis is not yet at its climax. Still building. Kitokota. It's building. Abantu babagamba bali emawogo, mawogo tebajja kumulaba. Mawogo gwe bali atajja kukola ki? Tajja kubaayo, kubanga tetwamutegekera. The crisis is just unfolding. Mwalabye mawulire, you saw in the newspapers, 600,000 kids will not do exams. They don't have money to pay to register to sit exams. 600,000 mitwalo nkaaga y'abaana abatajja kukola exam kubanga esente ezibawandiisa okola exam tebakola ki? Tebaziina. Si sente zokka ez'okukola exam, ne mu maka gye bali tebalina kye balya. The crisis in the country is deep and will become deeper every day. What we must be clear about is, where did this crisis come from? Did it go away? They are the two questions. I don't think there is a debate about whether there is a crisis. Njagala njiwulire those who think the country is doing well, but government there is no crisis. Ey'abaana, those abaana abato who were at parliament, abalajjana, people who are crying left and right all over the country, without hope, no job, no means of sustenance, and no hope of it. We have been talking about a divided country. Eggwanga eririmu amawanga ameka? Eggwanga eryabo abatasobola okwebeezaawo. The country in crisis. N'akawanga kali ak'abatono ennyo abayina buli ki? Buli kitambula. Era abakozesa emmere n'okuduula n'okujerega abatayina. Ne bafumba pirawo ne bagamba kale mujje namwe mulyeko. Y'olusooka tumanyi nti muyina enjala mujje. Come and eat something. Tubategekedde ak'okulya. They know the crisis in the other country. Mu Uganda ezebbiri. This country knows the crisis in the other country. That's why you hear that man you are calling a general. Nze bwe naganyukira nga nkyali kano olowooza obusobozi bwange n'obwoli bwengana ki? Salute nti general. So, n'omuwulira ng'agamba nti abavubuka kye baagala akola ki? Akimanyi. Baagala kuyimba n'emizannyo. Tewali kirala abavubuka kye bakola ki? Can you imagine? But it's the crisis. Jali, where he is, he doesn't know what is in the other country. Ensi endala eri eri mu crisis tagimanyi. N'ebyo bamubuulira bubuulizi tabimanyi. Mwami Muhoozi nga tutuuse e Kampala mu 86 yali mu primary wa Kasole walimu Kampala parents. Ngali mu primary wa Kasole. Emyaka gye gyonna 48 agimaze tabeerangako mu Uganda. Kubanga yajja ewa Kasole ng'ava ebweru. He came from outside to join primary school here. All the time he has lived in Uganda, he has lived in State House. And see, yes, that's his home. It's the only home he knows. State House. Ebiri mu nsi eri takola ki? Tosobola kumunenya. You can't blame him. He doesn't know what happens in the other Uganda. So these two Ugandas, how did they come about? Is the question we need to understand. You have heard me blaming myself because I was one of those who sacrificed to create this situation. I left my well-paying job in a good hospital in Kenya, ngende mu nsiko. Kubanga nagenda okugenda Kenya nga wano bantulugunya ddanga ndi kumpi kufa. I went to Kenya running away from Uganda. And I came back thinking I can fight and live in a country where we are all equal as citizens. Netulwana, we fought. Some people now mock our struggle in the bush. It was not a bush, it was not a struggle in vain. It was a struggle against a terrible, terrible situation that we were living in. I've told you, I was incarcerated. Many of the people I was with in jail have never been seen up to now. Many. So there was a bad situation that we were thinking we could get rid of. And the situation we passed through in the bush was not easy at all. Our activists now think they can get where they want to be without real sacrifice. It won't happen. To get to a good place, you must pass through a bad place, tough place. So, but having struggled and won a war, we came to Kampala. And I've been reminding all Ugandans to go back and read Legal Notice number 1 of 1986. It was a part that changed the Uganda constitution. That's why it is very important. So when our first act in Kampala was to change the constitution. Because when we were in the bush, we were terrorists. When we came to Kampala, we became the owners and legal. We had to change the constitution to achieve that. And that legal notice number 1 is what changed the constitution. And it said that whereas on this day, the 26th of January, 1986, the National Resistance Army captured the power of the state of Uganda. Nti kulunaku olwo ejje lyawamba ki? Lyawamba obuyinza bwonna mu ki? Mu ggwanga. Ejje lyabayeekera erya NRA lyawamba obuyinza bwonna mu Uganda 26 January. Ne libusa mu mikono gya NRM. Ejje bwe lyamala okuwamba obuyinza, having captured all power of state, it was given to NRM to use it to run the country. So, obuyinza bwammwe bwonna bwawambibwa. Ejje. The idea eya ensiko yajja eteekewa akaseera akatono ke tunaayitiramu okuddiza obuyinza baani? Bannannyinibwo. There was supposed to be a transition to deliver what we had captured to the owners who had never had it. That was the purpose of the transition announced by the NRM on that day. That in 4 years, we shall have done what is necessary to return power to who? To the owners. Bananyiniwo. It doesn't need a rocket scientist to know that 37 years later, NRM is still where? In power. Okay? So transition, tekolanga chi, tebangawo. And some of us disagreed with our colleagues because of failing to honor our promise to effect that transition. Okuzayo buyinza eri bannannyiniwo. First of all, tweyongezayo, we increased the transition period from 4 years to 10 years. Then we manipulated the constitution for the constitution to say that we shall actually continue until people decide that we should not continue. That's what the constitution said. And we started fighting in that constitution making process. But while that was going on, and this is very, very important that you understand, ebyo nga bikyali awo obuyinza bukyaganye kuddayo eri bannannyinibwo, something even more serious happened. That army, the National Resistance Army, of which I am RO 098, Mujeria National Resistance Army, inamba chenda munana. Fortunately, ejeri enyini nalyo neriwambibwa. The NRA was also captured. Captured by its commander. Yali ayina omulimu gw'okugirabirira n'okugiduumira ekole mulimu guli, naye yennyini n'akola ki? N'agiwamba. Mwe mulowooza nti you are in captivity. Abali mu magye bali bubi nnyo mu buwambe bwe balimu mu magye. Bali mu buwambi obubi ennyo. It's the captivity I fought to get out from first. It took me 10 years of fighting to get out of captivity in the army. Many others have failed. My brother Sejusa is still in captivity. He can't even get out of his house freely. Still in captivity. And others who are even less known, ordinary soldiers, are in terrible captivity. So ejeri enyini lyawambibwa. Eribanga lyawamba gwanga, ate nejje ne liwambibwa. Kati ekitegeeze gwanga lyonna lyawambibwa amaka gani ga Mwami Museveni. So today, all power in Uganda belongs to the family of Mr. Museveni. That is the reality of what we are dealing with. It's the true reality. So, Orutaro, the fight to take power to the people ended up so that people are sovereign. Sovereignty is the power over a state. So when people, citizens, when they are in charge of their country, they are sovereign. Abantu be babeera sovereign. Olwaleero sovereign yani ye Mwami Museveni n'amaka ge. Yazimba obwakabaka mu Uganda. That must be understood. But because he captured the army, he uses the army to advance his kingdom. That's what he does. All the time. If there is anybody trying to disturb the kingdom, he sends the army to deal with it. So of course, all the institutions of state were captured. First by the army, and in turn by Mr. Museveni. So Mr. Museveni holds all state institutions captive. That's why you will be deceiving yourself if Museveni annoys you and you go to court. Because in court, that's where you will find him seated there. And he will say, mm-hmm. You haven't seen it. They take away their land, they run to court, they find the man is seated. You run to parliament, you find he's seated there. Of course, the other smaller institutions, the same. Electoral commission. Some people think there is an electoral commissioner. No. The electoral commissioner is who? He's Museveni himself. The governor of the Bank of Uganda is who? He's Museveni. I heard people saying, Mutebere, I don't know what. Nonsense. Mutebere was absolutely nothing. And I had a long discussion with him before he died about at least making an alarm about his dangerous captivity. He didn't. So all institutions of state were captured. Having captured the institutions of state, they captured the wealth of the country. Ebitongole bya government byabayamba okuwamba obugagga bwaki bw'eggwanga lyo bonna batandikira ku bye twali twakungaanya state assets which were gathered. They first took those because those were readily available, what they call low-hanging fruits. Those they distributed among themselves. Uganda hotels, Uganda banks, Uganda this, Uganda railways, Uganda airlines, Uganda this. Byonna ebyo ne babitwala. When now, or even as it was going on, advanced to what you produce. What you produce, they take. Whatever you produce, they take. Sometimes as taxes, sometimes as just grabbing. And there are many stories to be told on that. Of course, when all that has ended, now they are on land. That's why they are taking land. That's why they are taking coffee, which people are complaining about. Oh, now you want all our coffee to be coming to you. Of course, budget walad. These are just polishing the situation. Coffee, cotton, what? All our products, budget walad. No debate, and if you want a debate, I can show you the evidence of how that happened. Coffee wasn't taken yesterday. And that's why they destroyed the cooperative movement. Wamara cooperatives, East Mengo cooperatives, West Mengo cooperatives, sijui what, which used to control the coffee, were destroyed. And the coffee is now in the family. In the family, coffee has been controlled by Museveni'S family for the last 35 years, if you don't know. So all wealth was taken. Now, having captured all wealth, then it became easy to capture whoever else they wanted to capture. Because you have nothing to eat, they call you. We can give you something. Yes, sir. Even you come. Yes, sir. People who used to work are now beggars from those who captured whatever they had. That is the reality of the situation. And they now used that to extend outside the state. So they control all non-state institutions. N'ebitongole ebitali bya government nabyo byakola ki? Byawambibwa. Because they cannot survive without the support of the only person who has wealth. So whether it is faith-based organizations, banadini bawambibwa. Whether it is NGOs, banachewa bakola ki? Bawambibwa. Whether it is political parties, zakola ki? Nezitanawambibwa bwe ziwanga gye ziri nazo zijja kola ki? Zijja kuwambibwa. Truth of the matter we are dealing with today. Now, the process of doing all this, building the force to keep everybody where they are, to subordinate everybody, buying people not to make noise. This process that has been going on for the last 30 years has been taking wealth from everybody to the few people. Are we together? From the other Uganda to the small Uganda. One-way traffic. Ebintu biveri nebidda mu Kano. Kati Kano kali kumpi kwabika nebyekatutte. Eri bafa buki? Bafa bufi, bafa. Have nothing. That's the failure to thrive, Jevudde. That's the failure to thrive crisis, Jetulimu. Where you cannot simply survive. Simanyi n'abantu kati neje basula mu kibuga kino. Ne renti gye bamujja ne kye balya. You know? That is the failure to thrive crisis that we have today. So, how do we get out of this? And I think that is the real crux of today's engagement. Embeera eno tugivaamu tutya? Eyabo bonna abali mu buwambe nabagambye si ffeffeka ne muffe mulimu abaakozesebwa okuwamba. Ejje liri mu ki? Mu buwambe. Liva litya mu buwambe? Ba Omara yali tamanyi nti ali mu ki? Nti muwambe. Bwe yali asula wange yali tamanyi nti muwambe. He didn't know. I like Omara. You know, And even when they stayed at my home, I used to engage them. Tell them that I have no problem with them. I know they are also captives. I used to tell them, all of these policemen, they are captives. They are only deployed by the captor, KAIJA. That's why when the captor thinks you are maybe having other thoughts, you are in trouble immediately. Ojobuze Kayihura. Kayihura. Namugamba ti Kayihura. Nti Kayihura. Weerowooze. Kati gyali kye namugamba akola ki? Akimanyi. Of course akyali mu buwambe. Tagannyukanga amagye. Ali mu buwambe bwaki? Bw'amagye era simanyi ali mu court martial. Emisango mu court martial gyavaayo. Abadde mu court martial. Muwambe. So all these ochola simanyi baani bawambe. Bawambe badda. Enanga yenyini. Era bawambe. So bonna n'abawambiddwa abali eri n'abawambiddwa abali wano tuva tutya mu buwambe. How do we get out of this captivity? And that is where this discussion, I think, comes from. Because, and it's a great opportunity. We have a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Sometimes, and that's why I said God is good. When God wants to show you something, he brings it in a way that you even didn't expect. Because I really didn't expect that all these Muhoozi people would at this time come out that they are taking over the country. Of course, they first announced in a very shabby way those birthdays. Very, very shabbily. But indicative of the prisonhood, because Nagendo Okulaba, that Muhoozi had appointed Uganda's Attorney General to be the organizer of the birthday party. Attorney General. So, Tachiraba Mububi, they are all just prisoners. You know? No, you are sent and picked in the whole country nakatizicha agenda. Up to now, money is flowing for birthday. People to have something to eat. They give them something to eat, play music for them. Kubanga yamanya nti aba youth bagala just entertainment, ne sports. Abayina enjala abaweeyo akokulya and ekiwedde. And those birthdays have started this debate of succession. And there is no doubt that indeed Mr. Museveni, much as he may want to keep appearances, biganye. I think, you know, you see him, genda kuva wansi. Nature catches up with you. So, in the kingdom, in the palace, there has been closer watch of him Everybody watches him and sees that the man is tired, and they start thinking about how to take over from him. So there has actually been some war, quiet war within the palace, succession war, which is natural. You know, when you see somebody ailing and fragile, becoming nani, people stand, and he has resisted. You must give him credit, Mr. Museveni, for resisting. He does press-ups so that you may think he's still there. You know, he does this, you know, puts on uniform and, you know, staggers around. He's trying, but the ones who see him, they know that Unutacha Kolachi, Tacha Marako. So they started jostling. And the jostling has been going on. So I think now he realized that it may be in his interest to anoint one of those who were jostling so that there is a crown prince. So this shabby jumping up and down that has been going on has been in an attempt to, you know, quell anybody within the palace who has ideas, so that there is no question about who the crown prince is. But in so doing, and the method they have used has attracted a debate in the whole country. And indeed, Muhoozi himself has made it very clear that the process is now on. He has put it in writing. The process is now on to take over the country. Nothing will stop them until that is achieved. So he has declared that the succession must now get in high gear and be completed. He has declared himself, not by anybody else, he has himself declared succession, saying he's succeeding his father. And, you know, I've had some people whom as you know, I have very, very little respect for. You know, many of our elites, I think they are really more of the problem than the problem itself. I've heard them saying that succession is okay. Ate, you have Uhuru Kenyatta, he succeeded. His father was a president, and now you have Uhuru Kenyatta. You have, I don't know, there was a Bush Senior, there was Bush Junior. I don't know, there was this and there is that one. So it's okay, succession is okay. Of course, every human being has a right equal to another to do everything that the law allows in the country, including leadership. So I have absolutely no problem at all for just somebody acquiring power after his parent had had power. The question is the circumstances. That is all. That's where the question is. Under what circumstances? You know? Because as I have told you, that we are in the circumstances in which the Museveni family captured Uganda and has controlled Uganda all these years in captivity. The transition we fought for, many people died for, has not happened. In which we would all live in freedom, we would all live with our full rights, and therefore have the power to choose who leads us. That has not happened. Mr. Muhoozi has been doing all these public celebrations in his uniform with posters saying Muhoozi Kainerugaba President 2026, 2031. You know, he has posted himself those posters at these functions. Muhoozi Kainerugaba President 2031, 2026, 2031 in his uniform as a serving officer. I just wrote a document to Museveni. I didn't even write it to anybody else. I wrote a document to Museveni and some of our leaders, a private document to them, to complain about the failure of transition. And I was court-martialed. They appointed a court-martial to court-martial me for writing, just writing. Not a public document, a private document. Here is somebody in uniform, in a rally, declaring his presidential candidate, and tomorrow going to command his forces as the commander of land forces. Can you imagine? And then you hear my brother Poor Katumba, General Katumba. Somebody, I think, wanted him to be killed. He said Katumba is going to do a birthday, to celebrate his 67th birthday. Katumba was near running, but he said, no, I cannot celebrate my... So, we are ruled by different laws. That's what is wrong. It's not that Muhoozi, if he wants to be a president, there is anybody against him. No. It is how he gets there that is totally wrong. Totally wrong. Because the power has never gone back to the people. The people have no power to decide. And that's why those of you who are listening to what I said in 2016, when I was a candidate, I told the people that I have not come to ask you for votes. You have no votes, you. I cannot ask you for votes. You have no power to decide. The people of Uganda have no power to decide who leads them. They don't have that power. It's the power they must get first. From those who captured it to those who by birthright own it. So, Mr. Muhoozi has come in to say, I am succeeding my father. And nobody will stop me. Nobody will stop me. Now, this succession thing, some of our people, I think, again, who don't consider issues very deeply, I suspect aided what we are seeing. Because there has been a debate also in this country about generations, saying this generation has done its work, it's now our generation. And we are looking for a generational leader. Not focusing on the transition for people to have power. Because who will create the leader if people don't have power? Whether generational or otherwise, who will give that power? But some people tended to divert this fight for citizenship, because the power we are talking about is a fight for citizenship. Some diverted it to a power, to a struggle for generational power. Now that having been heard, I think, by these Muhozis and our captors, they said, oh, so what you want is a succession from the old generation to the young generation. Because you have to be careful. Even this thing of saying, I died, I haven't completed what I was doing, so my son should come in and do what? And complete what I am doing. All these are concepts that are really highly flawed. They are highly flawed. The struggle now is not a struggle for generational succession, for the young to succeed the old. Because the young or the old have no power anyway. They have no power. So only the person who has power is the one who has said, I know wiyinza kati yasazeewo nti kati nja kufuna omusika. If people had power, they can change. They can cause the succession of leaders. That's what people are supposed to do. So succession is all right, but among people who have power to choose successors. Today, the only one who has power to choose a successor is who? Mr. Museveni. Are we clear? The only one who has power and can choose a successor to give is Mr. Museveni. You cannot give what you don't have. Mr. Museveni has, it's like the head of a home, when he dies, you choose a successor because the power has shifted, or he chooses a successor to succeed his own power. So when Ugandans get power, they can choose a leader and can choose who will succeed that leader. Are we together? Tulifena nti tosobola kusikisa kyotokola ki kyotalina. Bannayuganda tebalina buyinza, tebasobola kulonda gwe banaabuwa. So that is why the struggle olutalo lwetuyina fenna awamu is a struggle for power shifting, not just from Museveni, because Museveni is the one who captured it and who has it. And some people, sometimes you hear people say, but why do you focus on Museveni, Museveni, Museveni? He is sovereign. Museveni, I know he is abona, he is the sovereign. And that's why he's appointing a crown prince. Now, the power we want to shift is not just to shift from Museveni, but even the instruments that Museveni has used, the military. The power must shift from Museveni and his tools to the people. That to happen will not happen because you have gone to an election. It won't. Election to where? You can only have an election where there is a vacancy. And people have been telling you these things nga temubiwulira. Mugenda kunoonya president waliwo vacancy. Is there a free chair? It's not there. Because there is a king there. So we have to fight for transition. That's what we must do. We must remove these people who will never give up power willingly, never. Nobody will give up power willingly. We must push them out and transfer that power. Because if they had wanted to give it, it's 37 years. So, the opportunity that the Muhoozi succession has given us, and his declaration that he's now unstoppable, he's going to go on until the country is fully under his control, maybe for the second time. He has made that clear. He has started and is going. The question is now, we must start and give Ugandans, let's see. Kwanga, we've said there are 2 Ugandas. The Uganda there has announced that they will continue keeping us in captivity. So I think what should happen today, the clarion call that must be made today is that those who want power to shift from those who captured it to the country, to our country, let's also start today. Let's not be stoppable until the other country completely goes down and we have one Uganda. From now, they have declared. But what do Mukisa? Sife tulangiridde. Balangiridde. Nti kuva olwaleero tebakyayimirizibwa kati bakola ki? Basimbudde basonga. Naffe tusimbule. We must start. Yes, tusimbule. Ate kwennyini. Kwennyini tusimbule. Kwennyini. Azaabike katusimbule nabo basimbule. Yes, katusimbule. Tusimbule. Of course bajja kujjayo emundu zaabwe. Naffe tusobola okukola ebiremesa emundu zaabwe. Weebiri. Yes. Naffe tusobola okubiremesa. Emundu zinaayitawo bwe tunasalawo okugalawo makubo. Banaaziisaawa. Buli wonna awamu nga tugaggaddewo zinaayitawa. Tebajja kulaba nannyini nsi gy'akola ki? Gyali nga tusazeewo. Kwa mwaka oguwedde Mwami Museveni yabadde aggalawo ensi. Ngigaddewo anaasigala atambula gwe naawe ekibaali. Abalala bonna beetaaga waka. Seera kituuse naffe tumuggalewo. Ngambe naffe tukuggalawo. Anaatambula ya gwe tunakkiriza. Tukuggaddewo. Kisoboka tutegeere nannyini nsi yaani. Who is the owner of this country? Muhoozi kyatuyambye okwawulamu obulungi. Ye ne banne nti bagenda kugitwala. Balangiridde mu lwatu bagenda kugitwala. Oba kugisigaza kubanga be baagitwala edda. So tusimbule. Abaagala ensi edde mu mikono y'abantu. Tusimbule. Tulabe. Abo abatalina ssente ezeewandiisa mu bizaamu. Situka. Ssente zizo. Abali mu byalo tibalinze za parish. palishimodo nti bagenda kubaleetera babaweeko. Babawa kuzaani nawe nokkiriza olinze baje bakuweeko kikyo nti oli mu palish olinze za palishimodo. Teri sente ne 10 mwami Museveni gy'alina etaava mu palish. Teriyo. Buli sente yonna gy'alina n'ente z'alina eri zivudde mu palish zaffe. Kubanga mwami Museveni twayingira kibuga wano ffenna. Mwami Museveni teyalina kantu, yali tazimbanga nyumba ku nsi ya Katonda eno. Yali talina bank account yonna, tiyalina bank account, yali talina. Mwami Museveni yali talina nte yadde, yali talina nte. Kati zaatwala abantu abalage zivudde mu parish. Kubanga omusaala gwafuna yagubagambye luli nti afuna miliyoni meka 3. Nti aba NRM ne bajjako emitwalo simanya emeka n'asigazako miliyoni 2 omukyala we zaatwala. So buli kyalina kyaffe. Miliyoni 2 ne bw'ozibazaamu emyezi egiri mu myaka 35 nga taliyangako n'ennusu tezisobola n'okumuzimbira ennyumba gy'asulamu. So abantu nammwe ne mubeera eyo tolinze bakugulire piraawo. Gwe omuntu Katonda gwe yawa obusobozi n'amaanyi olinda piraawo ya muhoozi. So basebo ne banyabo amba ti programu eno gye batuleetedde ya succession eyambye eggwanga lyawule abaagala obusika n'abaagala obwannannyini. Twawule abaagala obusika bwa mwami Museveni badde emabega w'omulangira gwalonze. Abaagala obusika obw'obujjajja obw'okuzaalibwa mu ggwanga ng'obuyinza bwaffe naffe tusimbule. Mu kusimbula kuno nabagambye nti ndowooza mbakyaga leero kyekunaabanga kutuyambyeko kwe kutuusa amaloboozi gano eri abantu baffe abali mu buki mu buwambe bawulire. Abalala ne bigenda mu maaso tebanakola ki? Tebanabitegeera. So nga tusimbula tulina n'okusimbula nga bwe tukola ki? Bwe tubategeeza ekikola ki? Ekigenda mu maaso. Naye nga bwali mu bikujuko eyo abategeeza nga bwagenda okubawa emipiira n'okubakubira dansi, naffe tusimbule nga tubabuulira kye balina okukola ne gye tulaga nawa gye kigwera. Tugenda kusimbula, mugenda kuwanga mubiwulira. Mwetegeke tukole ki? Tusimbule tulumbe. Tuli ffenna mwebale nnyo, mwebalire.